everything possible within our best for us to make sure that indeed, man, we get this very particular show rolling quickly, and also we get the best out of this very particular short, almost 15 to 20 minutes of this interview, just to make sure that at least we get the best of what we'll be talking about this morning, right here on your anti-aging breakfast show. And the number remains the same for you to join us in the conversation. If you have any question you want to ask, and please do so. And especially those who are outside of the country on +27 733107335, or probably you can definitely email info@dexterityradio.co.za. All right, without wasting much of our time, back into the business this morning. Good morning. And this person I need to introduce, as in he needs no introduction within the Nigerian community, and especially for those of you who are in Nigeria, some of us also who are in diasporas. When I mean diasporas, that is if you're not in Nigeria, which means clearly you might have a clue of this very particular man who is here this morning with us, and who is part of the presidential candidate that is vying for the presidential position for 2019, and is here this morning to discuss with us on some of the agendas and the plan in which he has for the great country of us known as Nigeria. This is a place where I have to receive my anointing to say, okay, fam, I'm a proud Nigerian, knowing too well that we have a young man who is coming on board also to take that very particular footholds, or probably take the platform, knowing too well that the likes of Emerson Mnangagwa and Buhari with Paul Biya, and also with the likes of Uhuru Kenyatta and what's it called, Oyewole Museveni, all those very particular guys. They find a way of just living that very particular term, because we are sick and tired and sick of just seeing these very particular old people who refuse to edit their brains, what's it called, govern our country. Good morning, sir, and welcome to Dexterity Radio.
Thank you. Good morning, everybody, and thanks for bringing me on your show. I mean, we need having fun at your introduction.
Thank you very much. We need
Especially to bring the one about Oyewole Museveni.
That has become a norm.
No, that's become a norm. They know us here that as when it comes to dexterity, we don't miss our word here with Oyewole Museveni. So we try as much as possible to foster social cohesions. But if you want to foster social cohesions with people who doesn't want to rethink, then there's a problem. Yeah. And that's where we are. Before we continue the show, sir, please can you introduce yourself to us?
My name is Omoyele Sowore, and up until now, I used to be the publisher of SAHARA.com.
Okay.
And right now, my daytime job is aspiring to become President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. Yes.
Okay. Before now, he was the CEO, founder of SAHARA Reporters, and we all know that very particular news. Those are the guys who are investigating and really giving us information about what is happening on these scandalous things that likes of what's called all those governors and ministers and stuff. We get a lot of information. We're like, okay, bruh, if you carry that kind of money good outside, wait till remember for us. But nonetheless, we're not focused on that very particular point. Our question to you this morning is, why do you decide, with all the comfortability of you being what's it called, a businessman, deciding to go into politics?
I actually don't see myself as a businessman. I see myself as an activist who had delved into some kind of creative entrepreneurial business, I should call it, or space. Creating a news media platform that was not intended for business. It was intended to unravel what has been holding Nigeria back, and by extension Africa, and to open the space for new voices. So it's the same thing I'm doing now. Having disrupted the media space, it is time to disrupt the political space.
That I can confess.
Yes, it's time to disrupt the political space by bringing in new ideas, fresh people, and people who have intellect, character, and competence, and so that we can get rid of the old guards, the corrupt, tired, and sick old guards. And these guys are sick. You know, if you go to Cameroon, Paul Biya is definitely sick. Buhari is sick. Museveni is sick. There's a lot of sick African leaders that I don't know how many of them. Some of them are actually on wheelchairs.
Algeria, yes.
Some of them have to be pumped up on steroids every morning before they can get up. But they won't let their countries be. They want to drag this country down with them. And a new idea out there, a new movement is out there that is aimed at flushing them out. And I think Nigeria can lead the way this time. And if we can get the old man in Nigeria out of the way, Nigeria becomes the beacon to help other African nations navigate their way out of the darkness of these wicked leaders.
Yeah. One of the questions that definitely start coming in true, especially the last time we have your spokesperson here in South Africa for an interview, one of the questions that people were asking us was the fact that, when did you get to the turning point where you decide to say, okay, as an activist, let's use a statement, you want to now go into a political space for you to become the president of the country? There must be that turning point. What happened for you to change your mind to say, okay, I need to be here?
Several things, but most importantly, I have been very good at reporting on election results in Nigeria, including federal, state, local government. And one day I sat down and I said, you know, each time we report that the election is free and fair, we are not being fair to the Nigerian people, considering what will happen to them after these elections have happened. And I would not be one of the people saying that Nigeria election is free and fair, whereas the result of the election is neither free, because it can't guarantee freedom, and it's not fair to Nigerian people. And I cannot continue to use borrowed voices, tired people to represent me. And the only way you can do this is to step forward and step up to the plate, take the mantle of leadership, you know, engineer and just ginger people to start thinking differently as to how to do things differently, because Nigeria needs to be put on the path of prosperity, progress and peace, and very quickly. We're running out of time. By the time you look at it, our generation is almost finished.
Yes, absolutely.
And if we are not careful, we will have nothing to hand over to the next generation, because the generation before us haven't had nothing to hand over to us, have refused to leave us alone, and they want to drag us to the grave. We have a duty to practice what I call liberation activism this time around. Activism can be very passive, inactive, benign, and sometimes complacent if you keep doing the same thing all over and over again without achieving different levels of results that are needed to move society forward. So that's where I reached the point and said, hey, look, we had to do this. But I said there's nothing wrong with being an activist and running for office. Mandela did it here in South Africa. Obama was a community organizer. If we were to rank a community organizer and myself, I'd probably be above Obama in that rank before he became the president of the US. On the lighter side. So, and you look at it, in the last 30 years that I've been engaged with Nigeria, politically speaking, I haven't seen any leader in Nigeria that could do the job better than I think I can do it. All of their brain matter combined together don't fit into my pockets, you know, and you just have people who come in by their own design and the design of their friends, and government has been to their benefit. We are being gripped by the jugular in Nigeria and elsewhere in Africa by these cabals. So you have a cabal that is there perpetuating hunger, starvation, helping people to kill themselves, and in some cases just outrightly helping to eliminate people that are opposed to them or don't serve their interests. You have a nepotistic one in Nigeria, for that matter, that don't even consider anybody outside of his own circle, whether within his family or former old military generals, into office. Like I usually say, for example, in Nigeria, we voted for Buhari 2015 to be president of Nigeria. He became the high school prefect of Daura High School very quickly. Everybody around him has to come from his village. And these are some of the most incompetent people you can imagine. I met one of them on a radio show. You probably saw it. And you will understand why these guys are the way they are. Analog brains trying to lead a digital society.
Okay, now the quick one for me.
That's a powerful one. Analog brains trying to lead a digital society.
You see that part there for me is before one of the big things here that actually bothered the minds of a lot of young youth, that includes me myself currently now here in South Africa, is we know too well that you're vying for the positions of presidency. We know too well with the constitution, what's called the populations of Nigeria. It's mainly the brackets of youth that occupy that very particular space. 70% of it. Now the thing there is, we need to hear from you to say, okay, fine, what is the advantage for us? Because now this is me addressing your point agenda in terms of helping people like us who are diasporas, who are looking at our country and like, okay, God, only God knows. Like Francis used to say, oh my God, when would things change in Nigeria for us to go? What is the message you want to give to the youth, especially with the point agenda? We know that what you call entrepreneurship is really failing. It's failing us in Nigeria. Power electricity is like it doesn't even exist as far as we're concerned. So what is that message you want to say to this 70%, which is very, very important?
There are three things that is happening at the same time. If we get it right in 2019, that you have a president that is young, youthful, and focused on youth. It means that you're coming with brand new cabinet members who are young people who can connect.
So we guarantee that we'll see this cabinet members here will not move with you to the new.
No, these ones are going into retirement, permanent retirement. I don't want to say what will happen to some of them. It's not my duty. We'll find out later. Secondly, is that what do young people need? They need education. They need jobs. Our central agenda, which is referred to as within the acronym of SPICER HITS. Security, power, infrastructure, anti-corruption, economy, restructuring, health, education, agriculture, and tourism. If we do that, it's going to provide 5 million jobs within 3 years.
5 million within 3
Part
years.
of it is coming from renewable energy.
Okay.
No, solar energy,
that's a serious
4,500 megawatts is what we plan to invest, and that we're trying to grow in Nigeria immediately within 3 years. To put those pieces together, it's going to take 2 million hands. The way we want to do infrastructure, we want to double our road infrastructure by 100%, which means wherever you have a federal road now that is one way, it will be dual carriageway, and it's going to be real roads, not roads with craters that has Nigerian map at the middle of it where you sink as you're traveling home. You're talking about you're talking about security as well. We have to fix our security system, upgrade it through training, proper equipment, and eliminating corruption. We want to, for example, empower people to have purchasing power by paying minimum wage of $300 per month, which is nothing compared to what people should be getting. But it's a starting point for living wage. The same thing for youth corps service. But what is great about all of this is that even some of our ideas now, that's why I'm careful, have been stolen already. So we are bringing together a team of young people at home and abroad. That's where the diaspora comes from. To come make Nigeria work. Don't say come and save Nigeria. That one is like a bogey. It's an oxymoron. It's your country. You don't have to save it. Come and make it work. But you should be able to land at the airport and make it through without custom people putting their hand into your pocket or immigration asking you for, as if we're a beggar nation. You should be able to make it home from the airport, because the country will be secure. You should be able to go to bed without somebody knocking on your door or trying to kidnap you on your way home, or someone trying to scam you. So these are so many things that we need to. I come from diaspora, I spent 19 years in the United States.
So at least you understand.
So I understand diaspora, and I can tell you that those of us in diaspora, we are all waiting to go home because as we used to say in those days, east or west, home is the best. It doesn't matter how well you do in South Africa. This is not your home if you are not from here. It doesn't matter how well you do in Europe. You are just part of the statistics until they are willing to get rid of you. The same thing with America. So I've seen it all. It'll be 20 years next year. Interestingly and coincidentally, it'll be 20 years of democratic rule in Nigeria. And guess what? We have gone through the circle, and one more circle is what we need to complete. I have been part of a movement in the country that drove the military out of power, so allowed the military to civilian rule happen in Nigeria. We also drove away the ideology or the idea of self-perpetuation in power by getting rid of Obasanjo's third term. Then we were able to have a transition through our help from majority tribes to a minority president. And then we succeeded through our efforts too in having party-to-party transfer of power. The next most important one is a generational shift of power. We have to get rid of the, as Bob Marley likes to say, the crazy buttheads, chase them out of town, and let young people, not just young people, but responsive and responsible young people lead the country onto the path of glory. I had to say this morning on the South African TV that Nigeria is the big brother of South Africa. They have to give us the respect, but we have to also admit and apologize to them that we have been a failure as a big brother, and we'll take our rightful place so that we'll also help them navigate through the thick and thin of it. Because people ask me, well, what is South Africa going to benefit from Nigeria? Export, import? No, our life is not about import, export. That is just a small part of who we are.
If you look at that very particular statement you're saying, I think I remember when the president of South Africa visited Nigeria, and they released a press release, and in terms of business relationship, especially with Nigeria and South Africa, currently now the statistics says that South African businesses in Nigeria is about 120, and the businesses in Nigeria that are here in South Africa, we don't want to count because I don't think there's a statistics for that. Now, my own question I want to throw on the table now is, when it comes to the issue of fostering relationship with all these countries or neighboring countries and stuff, how do you want to balance it? Because part of the big things also that is affecting our president, especially when it comes to the current president, which we're looking forward for him to be ex-president. I am so looking forward to. He will be. I'm so looking forward for him to be ex. I'm tired of saying
he will be, as they say in the northern part of the country, inshallah.
Inshallah. So now my own question there is, especially with the AU agenda of this free trade stuff, because Nigeria hasn't even signed. In fact, Nigeria hasn't even gone there to flash their phone to check if it's going to happen and stuff. Reason why, because they say we don't produce anything, we only consume. Yes. What do you want to say regarding to that very particular conversation that is going, especially in the relationship on business currently?
No, it's, the relationship has to also be mutually respectable. Nigeria has to get its leadership right. I say something all the time. Everybody that is insulting Nigeria now is doing so because they are looking at Nigerian leaders. They know Nigeria is being led by dumb people. The moment you change the team, you change the narrative. Because they come to the table with us, they say these are respectable people, they know what's happening around the world. They can have serious conversation about how we relate. It is the same thing that's going to happen at the AU. Our first day at the AU, we signal to some of these dirty old, people who have bastardized their country.
You sound the same few people are EFF of Nigeria.
It's not EFF. This is more than EFF. This is more than EFF.
Okay.
Africa needs a revolution. We want to be able to get to AU and say, look, some of you who have been coming here to sleep for a long time to go and rest. It's as simple as that. It was what Thomas Sankara was trying to do.
True.
But he didn't have the leverage. He didn't have the power at that time, because they didn't have the economy of that could make it happen. We can talk to South Africa and make them listen to us.
Of course.
Yes, because they've got MTN and ShopRite. Yes. So, and they got a lot of things that we've always done. We've always been their big brother. We have to put an end to apartheid, in addition to other people around the world. But Nigeria played a central role. You understand? So our relationship cannot be based on a yellow card and yellow fever. And that's what I was saying when I came, everybody's like, where's your yellow card? And I was like, what's wrong with you people? We should have gotten rid of yellow fever by now so that nobody's relating on the basis of card. We should be relating on the basis of humanity. So, and that is not happening because that's how they see us. And until you bring forth that kind of leader, that's why I don't have all this small talk about volume of trade. It sounds like economics class or a commerce class. We're talking about nations, we're talking about people, 198 million people. You have mouths to feed, you have people to send to school, you have all kinds of things that we could be doing together that's just beyond MTN, yellow card, yellow fever, and ShopRite. There's a lot more that has to happen.
Quickly, I think I want to address
the meeting.
That's called the meeting. Before the meeting, and there's a question that's coming from Tulisili all the way from Polokwane this morning. He says, "Good conversation you're having with the presidential aspirant. I like his model of operation." But my question here, two questions here, is one, how do you want to help in terms of the women growth in Nigeria? Because that part, it's not been addressed. And secondly, also, will you ever have an inclusive governance in Nigerian system? Because that's something that has never been talked about by all the presidential candidates, especially those who still believe on the same mandate like yours.
Yes. So how we're different is this. Let's talk about women first.
Women, yes, very important.
Nigerian women are so great, they're energetic, but I don't think that they've clearly also tried to define their importance and relevance. There are 7 women to a man in Nigeria, but women are always pointing to men as the best candidates. And I'm telling them, why don't you become the president and vote for yourselves and win the election and see what happens? You're already carrying the economy. I'm just saying how much I believe in the power of women, but this is what we'll do. We're coming to this government with 50% men and women as cabinet members. And rapidly, that should increase because they are competent. We've seen it. We shouldn't be looking at the numbers and say, hey, next time you talk about 7 women to a man in Nigeria, Nigerian men is like, how many more wives can I marry? That's not the way it should be. It should be about what can these women bring to the table. And they're already doing that. But they need to realize also their potential and not shy away from it. Don't let men oppress you. Don't be under any kind of chauvinistic tutelage. Men will always be men, whether you like it or not. And for example, I question all the time and I joke about this. Why do we need Ministry of Women Affairs when there is no Ministry of Men Affairs? You understand? Every ministry should be for men and women. We should address, gender inequality in the system. We look at the wage system, look at gender-based violence that is very common in our system and address those issues and bring the equality that we need, because these women have so much to offer and they already do well in our system, but they have not been given the recognition they deserve, because most of them are satisfied with just one ministry when we have 42 other ministries headed by men. And every time we give women position in Nigeria, we celebrate it. Oh, can't you see we have this number of women in our system? But they are human beings too. and we shouldn't be treating them like that. I think women will realize this to follow, us and vote for us massively. If all the women in Nigeria, all the young people who are registered to vote for us, the election is over before it is over. So, and that's what I want them to appreciate. But we're having conversations that are very important as to how best we can give them their place. Not give them, but all have an inclusive system. The other thing about inclusiveness, I have been the only aspirant. I am saying this, and I'm not bragging about the numbers of Australians who's traveled the most. I declared about 5 months ago, February 23rd was the first town hall meeting I had in Lagos. I have already concluded travels to all the 6 geopolitical zones in Nigeria, including being the most traveled and the most engaging campaign with the diaspora. Today we're in South Africa. Before we came to South Africa, we've been in the UK, we've been in Scotland, we've been in the US, several states and cities in the US. We're heading to Ghana very soon. In Nigeria, we've done 26 states out of 36. No candidate, not even President Buhari has been to as many cities as I've been in the last 5 months since he came to power 3 years ago. And he's got 9 presidential jets. Most times I have to go on what they call Okada.
So from your various travels, if you just to ask, what has been the reception like, and what is the expectation, judging from what you have seen?
Our reception has been amazing, and we always transmit our reception live. And the expectation is that Nigerians are just looking for the next best thing to happen, and they see us as the potential leaders that can just pull Nigeria out of the woods. And they're following us. We are surprised that in places like Sokoto, I had to address, the supporters there twice in one night, because we addressed the group, they went and told others, and they came. But before we started, the impression created is that you can't even enter any part of the north. It's Buhari's territory, they call it. Buhari is not popular anywhere because Buhari is not doing anything for anybody except for himself and his children, perhaps, and family members and members of his cabal. The moment we were able to take the message, simplify it, and break it down to every level, people are receptive of the idea because we're walking around with interpreters where we can. And where we can't, we're telling the story. But most importantly, I think what came out of it, which was great, is engagement. That people can look at the presidential aspirant and ask questions and say, what are you going to do for us?
And get a response.
And that left us with something very valuable. We came back not with this impression that we know what to do, but understanding what every sector of Nigeria needs. Because sometimes you are cocky about it. It's just assume that everybody's looking for roads, schools and health. But the needs of Nigerians in different parts,
I think I'll try
to collate.
Yeah, I'll try to as much as possible quickly in the next 2 minutes, because I know I'm actually jumping into the time of the next show, which is the Women in Africa show. At the time
that I'm enjoying this.
Now the thing that I want to ask, especially, is the event that is happening tomorrow.
Yes.
And now for me, this is one, and this is me calling out on all the Nigerians in South Africa, including those who have interest in Nigeria. So which means it's open to every African who in South Africa here for you to come for that event. We'll give you guys the detail just now, but what is that one thing you want to get from that very particular event that is happening tomorrow? Next tomorrow. Okay, I said it's next tomorrow. I've just been told that it's next tomorrow. So which is on the 5th.
That is Sunday.
Pretoria State Theatre.
Pretoria State Theatre.
That's the town hall meeting.
That's the town hall meeting. Okay, it's on the 5th. Yeah. So now the thing there is, what is that one thing because for you to travel to South Africa, yes, I know you're engaging with different diaspora people and stuff. What is the one thing that you want to get out of this very particular meeting that you're having on the 5th at the town hall meeting?
I wanted us to have a decisive consensus on how to move Nigeria forward. And the moment we take that decision, we transmit it back home. And, back and forth as well. It's a two-way traffic. A lot of people who are here, this is home for them. It is time to make Nigeria home, and everywhere is a vacation spot. That is my hope. I have been expecting that this will happen because South Africa is also very, very, very strategic for us. Because whether you like it or not, this is where African liberation happened the last time in a significant way with the end of apartheid. So we want to take that message back home that we need to end the Nigerian version of apartheid, the oppression of blacks by blacks. I don't know how to put it, but that's what we're experiencing, and I think we have a lot to learn, we have a lot to share and we have a lot to engage. I don't want to predict what will be the outcome. I want to keep an open mind because
so which means you'll be open to answer questions from every sector and from everybody.
A few years ago, I came here, and it was part of what drove me to run. I came to a place called Marabasta? And I saw Nigerians queuing up on a Thursday to get South African paperwork, and that wasn't what was heartbreaking, but to find out that they were being flogged, made to kneel down, dehumanized by their fellow South African brothers, made me to say, well, it's time to make a change. To make a change that will make Nigerians be respected again all over the world. It was very heartbreaking.
All right, family, definitely. I think because we know we've jumped into the 6 minutes of your time, especially when it comes to the issue of the Women in Africa show, we strongly apologize because we know we need to just have these conversations quickly. But this very particular event will be taking place on Sunday, which is on the 5th, at the Drama Arena State Theatre, which is 320 Bristol Street, which is in you guys know State Theatre, but it's going to be taking place at around 3 p.m. at 7 p.m. and so definitely the communications and this very particular postcard I have on my gadget, I'll try as much as possible to make sure it's on our social media platform so that you guys can definitely find and navigate your way to that very particular event, which is very important. One last thing that I want to say before we call it a wrap this morning is your mandate and your motto for your drive. What is that one thing that we all, when we call your name, that we need to associate your name with this very particular word? What is it?
Take it back.
Take it back.
As they say in South Africa, take it back.
Another family, that's how we come to the end of this very particular interview, a special one this morning with the presidential aspirant who is already here this morning with us. And we'll try as much as possible for you to keep you guys updated. And also just go on our social media platform. You'll find all the information. Kakle Holt and the Sile and also Ayanda. I'm so sorry we can't take your message this morning, but we'll try as much as possible. Just find yourself to that very particular event. You can
actually, that was the question I wanted to ask. Are
one?
external people allowed in this meeting? And I use allowed in a very light
Absolutely.
term. Okay, just to hear exactly what it is that
come.
you
And you're actually free to come, and ask questions. We own whatever topic you want. This is not a presidency for Nigeria, as I mentioned, it's for Africa and the black race.
Okay. That's a good one, definitely. That's a good one, definitely. But family, it's a wrap this morning. Seriously apologize for this very particular one. I will try as much as possible to live up to it. Coming up next is the Women in Africa show right here on Dexterity Radio with Zandile. Don't go anywhere. We'll see you guys on Monday. Yeah, if I'm not mistaken. Same time.
Same place.
Same station.
Dexterity Radio.
No limits.
And no boundaries.
Exactly.
Thank you, my dear.